Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us for the monthly Employment Data Release Media Call. My name is Allison Hopkins, and I serve as the Deputy Director of External Affairs here at the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. Joining me today is Adrian Johnston, DEO's Chief Economist. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will be taking questions from credentialed media. To ask a question, please submit it through the Teams chat feature. Do this by simply hovering over your screen for the chat icon, and then click the chat button to enable the conversation feature within our meeting. We will not be able to accept questions through private chat, so please use this option. We will address as many questions as possible, but if your question is not covered, please email media@deo.myflorida.com, and our teams will work to get you an answer. Today's presentation is focused on employment data for July 2022. So if you have any questions regarding other DEO topics, also use the media@deo.myflorida.com to connect with our communications and external affairs team. I will now turn it over to Adrian.
All right, thank you, Allison, and thanks to all of you for joining us this morning for the monthly economic update. At 10 a.m., the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity released July 2022 labor statistics for the state of Florida, as well as sub-state areas, including all metropolitan areas, counties, and large cities. These data were produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal state cooperative agreement with DEO. Data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling techniques. This morning, I will provide details for this July 2022 data release. As a reminder, the current population survey is used to estimate Florida's unemployment rate, total labor force, and labor force participation rate under the Local Area Unemployment Statistics Program. Since these statistics are based on a survey of households, they capture information about individuals, not jobs, and they are calculated by place of residence, not place of work. So let's get into the numbers. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in July 2022 was 2.7%. This was a decrease of 0.1 percentage point from the revised June 2022 rate of 2.8%, and a decrease of 1.8 percentage points from July of last year. This unemployment rate is now equal to the February 2020 rate of 2.7%. In July 2022, Hendry County had the highest unemployment rate in the state at 5.9%, followed by Highlands County at 4.4%. Monroe County had the state's lowest unemployment rate at 1.7%, followed by St. Johns County at 2.2%, and Miami-Dade and Okaloosa counties at 2.3%. The national unemployment rate in July was 3.5%. This is a decrease of 0.1 percentage points from the June 2022 rate. Florida's statewide unemployment rate has now remained below the national rate for 20 straight months since December of 2020. This unemployment rate for July 2022 represented 283,000 jobless individuals out of a labor force in Florida of 10,658,000. 2022 labor force increased by 26,000 or 0.2% from the month prior. This compares favorably to the nation as a whole, which saw a slight decrease in the seasonally adjusted labor force over the month. Compared to July 2021 levels, Florida's labor force saw an increase of 291,000 or 2.8%. This exceeds the national labor force growth rate, which was at 1.6% over the year. Over the month, employment in Florida grew by 44,000, while unemployment dropped by 19,000. We are continuing to track trends in Florida's growing labor force, which is the combination of all currently employed workers, as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work. Labor force growth continued in July as Florida continues to outpace the nation. As of July 2022, there are now 364,000 more Floridians in the labor force than the pre-pandemic level from February 2020. This chart shows several alternative measures of historical labor underutilization by year and for the first 2 quarters of 2022 based on data from the current population survey. The U3 line, which is shown here in gray, has the same scope and definition as the unemployment rate we report each month. Unemployed here means job seekers who have actively searched for a job within the past 4 weeks. The U4 line in green adds discouraged workers to those unemployed. Here, discouraged means people who want a job but are not actively seeking one, specifically because they do not believe one is available for them. In the second quarter of 2022, the share of discouraged workers reached its lowest point since 2007. Adding discouraged workers to the unemployment increases the quarterly average rate from 3.3 to 3.5%. But for comparison, in the years of 2010 through 2013, following the Great Recession, including discouraged workers in the count added 0.8 percentage points or more. Here, the U6 line, which is shown in blue, is the broadest measure of labor underutilization available to us. In addition to the unemployed, it includes those marginally attached to the labor force. Those are individuals who are not actively seeking work, but want a job and are available for a job and have sought work in the past 12 months. It also includes those who are working part-time for economic reasons. These are workers who want full-time work and are available for full-time work, but are currently working a part-time job. In the second quarter of 2022, this broadest measure was lower than any year in our data except for 2006. In other words, while the core unemployment rate has returned to its pre-pandemic level, labor underutilization, more broadly, is at the lowest level Florida has seen since before the Great Recession. Now moving to non-agricultural payroll employment. Job creation data for Florida is measured by the Current Employment Statistics, or CES survey, conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs, not individuals, and they capture characteristics of employers such as industry and place of work. Total non-agricultural employment in Florida rose to more than 9.4 million jobs in July 2022. This was up 73,800 jobs, or 0.8% from June 2022. This is more than double the national over-the-month growth rate of 0.3%. This figure is up 437,800 jobs from a year ago, which is an over-the-year increase of 4.9% and outperforms the nation's over-the-year growth rate of 4.2%. Florida's private sector non-agricultural employment rose to more than 8.3 million jobs in July 2022. This is up 70,000 jobs, or 0.8% from June 2022. Since our measurements began in 1990, only 7 months had private sector job growth at this scale of 70,000 jobs or more. Total private employment was up 433,500 jobs from July 2021. This is an over-the-year increase of 5%. The latest data also contains a particularly large revision to the June 2022 total employment figure. Our estimated over the month for June is now 45,700 jobs, which is revised up from 30,600 jobs. All 10 major industry sectors in Florida gained jobs over the month and over the year. Leisure and hospitality gained 19,500 jobs over the month, or 1.6%. This was followed by professional and business services, which gained 16,400 jobs, or 1.1%, and education and health services, which added 200 jobs, or 0.9%. In this graphic, we can see industry recovery in Florida compared to the nation, with Florida in green and the U.S. in blue. Industries above zero have more jobs now than in February 2020. We can see that Florida has outperformed the nation in all major industry sectors except for total government. There are some similarities between the state and the nation. For example, professional and business services has the largest percent job growth in Florida and in the nation. Total government has a similar percentage of jobs left to recover in both areas. But we also see some differences. The other services and education and health services industries are above their pre-pandemic levels in Florida, but still below that for the nation. Leisure and hospitality has recovered a larger portion of its jobs in Florida compared to the nation. Manufacturing has gained jobs in Florida significantly, while the sector has only just recovered in the rest of the country. Florida has also has strong growth in financial activities compared to the nation. This map shows the July 2022 seasonally adjusted local area data. This shows that all 24 metro areas in Florida had over-the-month job gains. The Villages metro area grew with the fastest rate of 2.2%, followed by the Panama City metro area at 1.2%, and the Lakeland Winter Haven metro area at 1.1%. Other fast-growing metro areas were the Port St. Lucie, Miami, Miami Beach, Kendall, and Sebastian Vero Beach metro areas. The metro areas that added the most jobs in July were the Miami Beach, Kendall metro area, which added 12,700 jobs. The Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater metro area, which added 9,900 jobs. And the Orlando, Kissimmee, Sanford metro area, which added 9,100 jobs. Among the metro areas with the most growth, the industries showing the biggest gains were education and health services, professional and business services, and trade, transportation, and utilities. And finally, we have the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, or JOLTS data for the state of Florida. Please note that this slide reflects information for June 2022, which is the latest data available. Job openings declined in June and have nearly returned to their year-ago level, but all job turnover metrics remain elevated above historical levels. The Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that the number of job openings in Florida fell to 588,000 in June 2022, an over-the-month decrease of 33,000 or 5.3% from the revised May estimate of 621,000. Openings are up 12,000 from 1 year ago, or 2.8%. This is less than the rate of increase in total employment, which means that the share of jobs that are vacant has now declined over the year. This is an indication that staffing shortages may be starting to ease. There were 314,000 quits statewide in June 2022, which is an over-the-month decrease of 35,000 or 10%. However, quits are still up 69,000 or 28.2% from 1 year ago. Additionally, there were 407,000 hires statewide in June 2022, an over-the-month increase of 11,000 or 2.4%. Hires are up 39,000 from 1 year ago. In general, these trends match what is occurring across the country. And thank you all so much for joining this morning for DEO's rate release for July 2022. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to field any questions from Credential Media.
Tom Urban asks, with Florida now back at pre-COVID unemployment percentages, what changes in employment types, total jobs have we seen over that time? Also, what factors have led to Florida continuing to be ahead of the nation economically?
I'm going to ask you to repeat the beginning of that one more time.
With Florida now back to pre-COVID unemployment percentages, what changes in employment types and total jobs have we seen over that time?
So I think that's a great question. If we could actually back up to the industry chart, so just to give you a visual that I think will be helpful. Let's do the state national recovery industry. The next one, please. There you go. So I think what we're seeing, so while we've gone back to levels that are commensurate with where we were back in 2019 and 2020, early 2020, we're seeing a little bit of a shift in which industries are growing the most. And most of that is in industries that tend to have higher wages. So for example, we're seeing strong growth in financial activities and professional and business services. You can see here that we've outpaced the nation in terms of manufacturing. That's actually picking up a trend that was happening back during that time of 2019 and 2020, where the state of Florida was seeing growth in these areas, but we weren't quite seeing the same strong growth in other states. So that's kind of an example of how things are shifting a little bit in terms of the market share of industry growth. And then I'm going to ask for the second part of that question one more time.
What factors have led to Florida continuing to be ahead of the nation economically?
So I think we've talked about this before, really opening up and our business-friendly environment, allowing businesses to continue to hire folks and serve people early on during the last 2 years has really led to continued strong growth. We see strong consumer demand continuing even today. And so as that continues to grow, we're going to continue to see strength in our employment.
Dave Berman from Florida Today asks, what is your sense of the current challenges Florida employers face in filling job openings? And what is your outlook on that for the rest of the year?
So that's certainly something that we've heard a lot about, that employers across all industries are facing challenges filling their positions. In some ways, that's a good sign. It's a good problem to have, but it's still a challenge when you have services that you're trying to provide at certain levels, and it's hard to find the talent and staff that you need to provide that. We did see a little glimmer of that easing with the JOLTS data release in June. So that might be getting a little bit better for employers. A lot of that also, when you kind of factor in what we looked at with the labor underutilization, it means that there was slack in our labor force. That's tightening up a little bit as well. And so that means that there's a better match between employers and job seekers. So overall, I think we're seeing a little bit of easing, but we'll have to continue to watch the data to see how that plays out in the future.
Okay. And Steve King asks, now that the rest of the country has eased its COVID-19 restrictions as well, is there a separate factor that Florida possesses which leads to continued job growth?
But I don't think you can discount the fact that we are a beautiful state. We've always had, for a long time, strong business-friendly practices that have encouraged employment growth. Like I said, we even saw this before the pandemic, that Florida was outpacing the nation in many ways, and that particularly in certain industries. So I think we're kind of picking back up to where we were with some shifts in the industry mix, but overall, Florida continues to have business-friendly practices, no income taxes. We continue to attract folks from other states, even beyond the height of the pandemic. And I think that just the strength of our economy as a whole.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for the May 2022 rate release, or the July 2022 rate release. If you have any additional questions, please email media@deo.myflorida.com. We look forward to having you for our next rate release for the August numbers on Friday, September 16th. Thank you and enjoy your weekend.